false doctrine. What's progressive about false doctrine? It comes because of atheism, this great curse upon you. Because you're not aware that all of the spirits voted upon the same gospel. There can't be a change in the gospel. It has to be the same pattern, the same gospel that was preached to Abel and Melchizedek and preached by Melchizedek. It must be the same gospel that we preach, because then, if not, there will be division in heaven, won't there? Won't there be factions and political parties in heaven and all of these things? Well, that is not going to be the case, because those who inhabit the celestial kingdom see eye to eye, and they know even as they are known, and there is no division there. None. There's no division at all. It's like being in a calculus classroom. There's no division there. It's whatever the professor says is the correct manner of doing the problem in mathematics. If you may not understand it totally at first, but you take it upon good authority that he knows what he's talking about. So there's no division in a calculus. You better believe there'd be 100,000 different sects of calculus. There'd be different versions of it, because that's how corrupt mankind is. They're unstable as water, and mankind is not to be accounted for of anything. They're not to be trusted. The only thing that you can trust is the Lord, really. You have to get revelation on your own. You have to kneel down and ask God with real intent if these things are not true. And that's what you need to do. And cursed is he that relieth upon the arm of flesh, it says. Now, here's a prophecy of Joseph Smith on the current condition of the church. Many shall be hoisted into power within this church because of the money and the worldly learning. A financial wizard, for instance, Heber J. Grant, this is my little parenthetical insertion here, who knew or cared almost nothing about the gospel, continuing with Joseph, which they seem to be in possession of, while the true friends of Jesus Christ shall be cast down because of their poverty and be trodden underfoot and unnoticed by their brethren. That's the Mosiah Hancock Journal. And continuing on with the authority of the apostleship. What ordination should a man have to possess all the keys that were ever delivered to the sons of Adam? He should be ordained an apostle. Now, here's Journal of Discourses, Volume 1, page 136, Brigham Young, April 6, 1853. Now, it will cause some of you to marvel that I was not ordained a high priest before I was ordained an apostle. Brother Kimball and myself were never ordained high priests. How wonderful. Now, that is the correct order. You don't ordain a man that's an apostle a high priest, and that's exactly what the church has done. But let me give you the correct order of succession to show you how that your presidents are not apostles. The correct order of succession is the 5 laws that govern the 70. I've written them down. Are that the 70 are to be chosen out of the elders' quorum. That's law number 1. Law number 2. The presidency of the quorum of the 70 are to be chosen out of the 70. And they're not to be high priests. That's law number 2. Law number 3. The 12 are to call upon the 70 when they need assistance instead of any others. Law number 4. When there's a vacancy that occurs in the 12, they are to select the member of the 12 to take the place in the vacancy from the 70s and not anybody else. Law number 5. When the first presidency becomes disorganized, then the first presidency are to be chosen out of the 12. Well, they do that correctly, but the thing is that the 12 are comprised of high priests. They're not apostles, and they weren't chosen out of the 70 like they're supposed to be. That's the order. You don't train the priesthood with impunity. You just don't do it. God will give you enough rope to hang yourself with. And Dwayne Crowther said that the prophets in the Old Testament had higher authority than the church, though the church was not aware of it. Well, that's the same thing that's in the current state of affairs. But God knows, and that's why I get written revelations, and they don't. They don't get revelations. I write them down. They don't. They don't know how to write a revelation. And neither did I until the Lord showed me how to do it. And you can't do it without the Spirit of God anyway. William McLellan challenged Joseph Smith one time. He said, I can write just as good revelations as that. And so Joseph pulled up a table and set a chair down and said, here, sit down and write one. And McLellan just sat there in a stupor of thought. He couldn't write a thing. And that's the way it is. And Oliver Cowdery thought he could translate the Book of Mormon too. But he just sat there in a stupor of thought too. Kimball, when he came out with his Negro Priesthood quote-unquote revelation, well, it wasn't a revelation at all. It was a manifesto that began with, to whom it may concern, because that's the way the lie to beat the devil in his own game, the first manifesto, started out. To whom it may concern. Well, the revelations from God start out, thus saith the Lord. They don't start out, to whom it may concern, let me tell you that. So, I don't care if you don't believe this, then all I can do is bear testimony to you that I know that these things are true. I'm testifying to you that they are true, and that you need to stand for yourself and depend on no man or set of men in that state of corruption of the Jewish church. Applied it to the present state of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Said that if the people departed from the Lord, they must fall. And that's what you've done. You've departed from the Lord and gone whoring after strange gods, i.e. Darwinism and humanism, which is really idolatry. Originally the pagans that Paul ran into, because they didn't like to retain God in their knowledge, they made idols of four-footed creatures and creeping things. They made idols out of these things to worship because they didn't like. But now they invent this paganism, this modern paganism, in which they are essentially sun worshipers. They say that all life comes from the sun, and the sun created the first life on earth through ultraviolet interaction with carbon molecules and so forth and so on. Well, let me tell you, Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, the wife of Percy Bysshe Shelley, the Romantic poet, she wrote Frankenstein. Her character had a better chance than these evolutionists do, because at least they started out with body parts sewed together for lightning to invigorate that body, or to animate that body. Spontaneous generation, the law of spontaneous generation. Louis Pasteur discovered that law, that spontaneous generation is impossible. You cannot generate living matter out of non-living matter. That is a law of biology that Louis Pasteur discovered by an experiment in which he boiled a certain mixture of food matter and had the container vacuum sealed so that no air could get in or out.